It is January 28th, 2026, and this is Beowulf, JRR Tolkien, together with Selic Spell. Lo! The glory of the kings of the people of the Spear Danes in days of old we have heard tell, how those princes did deeds of valor. Oft skilled Skeffing robbed the hosts of foemen. Many peoples, of the seats where they drank their mead, laid fear upon men. He who first was found forlorn, comfort for that he lived to know, mighty grew under heaven, throve in honor, until all that dwelt nigh about. Over the sea where the whales rides must hearken to him and yield him tribute. A good king was he. To him was an heir afterwards born, a young child in his court, whom God sent for the comfort of the people. Perceiving the dire need which they long while endured aforetime, being without a prince, to him therefore the Lord of life, who rules in glory, granted honor among men. Beowulf was renowned. Far and wide his glory sprang, the heir of skilled in seedland. Thus doth the young man bring it to pass with the good deed and gallant gifts, while he dwells in his father's bosom, that after in his age there cleave to him loyal knights of his table, and the people stand by him when war comes. By worthy deeds in every folk is a man ennobled. Then, at his allotted hour, skilled the valiant passed into the keeping of the Lord, and to the flowing sea his dear comrades bore him, even as he himself had bidden them, while yet their prince, he ruled the Scyldings with his words. Beloved lord of the land, long was he master. There at the haven stood with ringed prow, ice hung, eager to be gone, the prince's bark. They laid then their beloved king, giver of rings, in the bosom of the ship, in glory by the mast. There were many precious things and treasures brought from regions far away, nor have I heard tell that man ever in more seemly wise arrayed a boat with weapons of war and harness of battle. On his lap lay treasures heaped that now must go with him far into the dominion of the sea. With lesser gifts no whit did they adorn him, with treasures of that people, with lesser gifts no whit did they adorn him, with treasures of that people, than did those that in the beginning sent him forth alone over the waves, a little child. Moreover, high above his head they set a golden standard and gave him to the ocean. Let the sea bear him. Sad was their heart and mourning in their soul. None can report with truth, nor lords in their halls, nor mighty men beneath the sky, who received that load. Then in the strongholds long was Beowulf the Scyldings, beloved king of men, renowned among peoples. Elsewhere had the prince his father departed from his home, until thereafter he begat Healfdene the High, who held the lordship while he lived, aged and fierce in war, over the fair Scyldings. To him were children foreborn in the world, in order named, captains of the hosts, Hrothgar and Hrothgar, and Helga the good, and a daughter I have heard that was Onella's queen, dear consort of the warrior Skilfing. Thereafter was fortune in war vouchsafed to Hrothgar, and glory in battle, that the vassals of his own kindred hearkened willingly unto him, and the numbers of his young warriors grew to a mighty company of men. And then it came into his heart that he would command men to fashion a hall and a mansion, a mightier house for their mead drinking than the children of men had ever known, and there within would he apportion all things to young and old, such as God had granted him, save the people's land and the lives of men. Then have I heard that far and wide too many a kindred on this middle earth was that work proclaimed, the adorning of that dwelling of men. In a while, swiftly among men, It came to pass for him that was all made ready, the greatest of houses and of halls. For it he devised the name of Herot, even he whose word far and wide was law. His vow he bellied not, the rings he dealt and treasure at the feast. The hall towered high with horned gables wide, awaiting the warring billows of destroying fire. The time was not far off that between father and daughter's spouse, murderous hate and memory of a deadly feud should awaken again. Then the fierce spirit that abode in darkness grievously endured a time of torment. In that day after day he heard the din of revelry echoing in the hall. There was the sound of harp and the clear singing of the minstrel. There spake he that had knowledge to unfold from far off days the first beginning of men, telling how the Almighty wrought the earth, a veil of bright loveliness that the waters encircle, how triumphant he set the radiance of the sun and moon as a light for the dwellers in the lands, and adorned the regions of the world with boughs and with leaves. Life too he devised for every kind that moves and lives. Even thus did the men of that company live in mirth and happiness, until one began to work deeds of wrong, a fiend of hell. Grendel was that grim creature called, the ill-famed haunter of the marches of the land, who kept the moors, the fastness of the fens, and, unhappy one, inhabited long while the troll's kind's home. For the Maker had proscribed him with the race of Cain, that bloodshed, for that Cain slew Abel, the eternal Lord avenged. No joy had he of that violent deed, but God drove him for that crime far from mankind. Of him all evil broods were born, ogres and goblins and haunting shapes of hell, and the giants too, that long time warred with God, for that he gave them their reward. Then went Grendel forth one night. Then went Grendel forth one night was come to spy on that lofty house, to see how the ring Danes after the ale drinking had ordered their abode in it. And he found therein a lordly company after their feasting sleeping. Sorrow they knew not, the unhappy fate of men, that accursed thing. One more time. Then went Grendel forth when night was come to spy on that lofty house, to see how the ring Danes after the ale drinking had ordered their abode in it, and he found therein a lordly company after their feasting sleeping. Sorrow they knew not, the unhappy fate of men, that accursed thing, ravenous and grim, swift was ready. 30 knights he seized upon their couch. Thence back he got him gloating over his prey, faring homeward with his glut of murder to seek his lairs. Thereafter at dawn, with the first light of day, was Grendel's strength in battle made plain to men. Then was weeping after feasting upraised, a mighty cry at morn. The glorious king, their prince proven of old, joyless sat. His stout and valiant heart suffered and endured sorrow for his knights. When men had scanned the footprints of that foe, that demon cursed, too bitter was that strife, too dire and weary to endure. Nor was it longer space than but one night ere he wrought again cruel murders more, and grieved not for them. His deeds of enmity and wrong, too deep was he therein. Thereafter, not far to seek was the man who elsewhere more remote sought. Thereafter, not far to seek was the man who elsewhere more remote sought him his couch and a bed among the lesser chambers. Since now was manifested and declared thus truly to him, with token, plain the hate. My brain doing backflips right now. Not was it longer space than but one night ere he wrought again cruel murders more, and grieved not for them, his deeds of enmity and wrong, too deep was he therein. Thereafter, not far to seek, was the man who elsewhere more remote sought him his couch and a bed among the lesser chambers. Since now was manifested and declared thus truly to him, with token plain the hatred of that hall keeper. Thereafter, he who escaped the foe kept him more distant and more safe. Even thus did one lord it, and against right make war, alone against them all, until empty stood that best of houses. Long was the while, 12 winters' space, the Scyldings' dear lord. Long was the while, 12 winters' space, the Scyldings' dear lord endured anguish and every woe and sorrow deep. So it was made known to men and revealed to the children of mankind sadly in songs that Grendel strove a while with Hrothgar, wrought hate and malice, evil deeds and enmity, for many a year, a strife unceasing. Truce would he not have with any man of the Danish host, nor would withhold his deadly cruelty, nor accept terms of payment, and there no cause had any of the counselors to look for golden recompense from the slayer's hands. Nay, the fierce killer pursued them still, both knights and young, a dark shadow of death lurking, lying in wait. In long night keeping the misty moors, men know not whither, sorcerers of hell in their wanderings roam. Thus many a deed of evil that foe of men stalking dreadfully alone did often work, many a grievous outrage. In Herod's hall bright with gems in the dark nights he dwelt. That was great torment to the Scyldings' lord, anguish of heart. Many a mighty one sat oft communing. Counsel they took what it were best for Many a mighty one sat oft communing. Counsel they took what it were best for stout-hearted men to do against these dire terrors. At times they vowed sacrifices to idols in their heathen tabernacles. In prayers implored the slayer of souls to afford them help against the sufferings of the people. Such was their wont, the hope of heathens. They were mindful in their hearts of hell. Even thus, over the sorrows of that time, did the son of Healfdene brood unceasingly, nor could that wise prince put aside his grief. Too strong was that strife, too dire and weary to endure, that he had come upon that folk, torment fierce and cruel that they needs must bear, the greatest of miseries that came by night. Okay. Quick little intro to Beowulf. Beowulf. Anyway, until next time, thanks for joining me.